Sacred women in the making. Sacred women reawaken. Ancestors, hold us near. Protect us from all harm and fear beneath the stones of life. Direct our steps in the right way as we journey through this vision. Ancestors, surround us in your most absolute perfect light. Anoint us in your sacred purity, peace, and divine insight. Bless us, truly bless us as we share this sacred life. Teach us, ancestors, to be in tune with the universe. Teach us how to heal with the inner and outer elements of air, fire, water, and earth. Ashe.
So much time searching for me inside an empty space. Instead of watching, I did not pay attention to what it was that I should Spread your wings and fly through deliberate purification. Find your way back to your
Greetings from outside on our deck, featuring my kids fake sleeping on the little bed that is out here. Our Adinkra card for today is Nsa, and Nsa is a type of hand-woven fabric, high-quality Ashanti fabric woven by hand. Symbols reflect the saying, Nia onim Nsa no, I don't even know how to say it, Nago. He who does not know authentic Nsa will buy the fakes.
Hi.
That ain't the truth. I guess that could be said for a lot of things. We have authenticity, genuineness, excellence, the erasure and appropriation of ancient and ancestral practices and rituals, devalue what's sacred to those communities. The erasure and appropriation of ancient and ancestral practices and rituals, devalue what's sacred to those communities, because there's a sort of inauthenticity, or what am I saying? It's inauthentic, right? When H&M just slaps a tribal print on something, it doesn't have the actual same meaning. They've taken part of the essence, but it's lost. It's gone down in value, and that is the issue that a lot of people have with this, is that people are just monetizing, devaluing, making things common that are sacred, which isn't allowed for other people's certain cultural, sacred things. And so it goes on to say, to protect the blueprint of how we live today, do the work to know the origin, use, and purpose of the cultural products and practices you use, wear, and admire. Be thoughtful in how you interact with practices, tradition, and culture. This reminds me of, there's a meme going around right now where somebody wrote something like, all these white girls with dream catcher tattoos wondering why things are not going well for them, and it's because you just slapped a cultural item on yourself that has deep symbolic meaning and tradition behind it, and you've basically minimalized it down to dreams. Make your dreams good, and put that on your bodies permanently with no understanding. You're inviting things you don't know, and you're disrespecting. You are Tyra, and you're and you are Taka. I know. But you're disrespecting and devaluing.
Birthday cake.
Yeah, we know you love birthday cake. Okay, so.
And cheesecake.
And cheesecake. I know.
I know.
I gave her cheesecake for my birthday, and she will never forget that.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah, it was my birthday, July 24th, and she'll never forget that. She'll never forget that cake. It was good. I know what I'm doing. All right, so our law that we're studying today, we have the 42 laws of Mott, as always, to study. One law a week, and this time it was, I will not commit treason against my ancestors. Wow, does that not go perfectly? I don't even align these, you guys. I just go straight. We're going through the Adinkra from an alphabetical order, and we are going through the 42 laws from front to back, and these ones just happen to align. Occasionally they happen to align really well. So we were just talking about that. We were just talking about committing treason against your ancestors, essentially, selling your customs to the highest bidder, not treating things that are sacred as sacred, not understanding why those customs are necessary to utilize, not understanding why it's important to not just dismiss African or, whatever your ancestral specific custom, not to be too vague, but whatever your ancestral specific customs are, to dismiss them all as witchcraft, or to dismiss them all as not worth putting time into that. We'll go inside and get water in about 2 minutes, okay? So yeah, the act of committing treason, I think, is forgetting them, is refusing to break cycles, to continue to build, to continue to grow. I think we're all really onto something big when we're with this reclaiming, with this Sankofa renaissance we've got going on, where we're all just going back and getting it, you know what I mean, and getting this information and reclaiming it as our own and understanding its importance. And that is, the opposite of that treason. I think people can be authentically African and still, make choices in their life that don't always center Africanness, and still be honoring their ancestors and still not be committing treason, because we're in a modern age, and there is nuance, and there are different opportunities that our ancestors would have never had, or that will progress the community, even if it may not be something that all of us can do. So with that being said, I think this is a wonderful reminder to continue to honor our ancestors, to honor our journey of authenticity within our religion, right? Making sure we're not getting the knockoffs, we're not getting the Catherine Urinwood, Mojo working, whatever those, all those white people trying to make money off hoodoo, and trying to suddenly be into voodoo and obeah, and you know what I mean? I mean, there are certain cultures, for example, in the South American Latino cultures, that just through the way that history went, naturally adopted a bunch of African traditional religions, and have so that's why you see a lot of these people practice Santeria and other customs in South America and the islands around, but overwhelmingly, it's pretty cut and dry. It's just, this is an ancestry based thing. It's not a free-for-all like Christianity is. It's not a, we need as many numbers as possible, go recruit people at the corner, all those things. My son was just throwing a temper tantrum about his ball being used by his sister, or a ball he was using, but I wanted to give you a beautiful view of where I was just sitting. I was just sitting here, and here's right behind me. We got some chickens. Maybe one will show its face. It's the chicken coop. So yeah. And maybe you can see in the background underneath that blue thing, there's like a bunch of geese that are just sitting there under that blue futon. It's really peaceful out here. I enjoy it. And like right out here in this sunlight is ridiculously hot. So anyways, I'm gonna go find my kids. So for our chop break today, this is the week after our beloved elder, Toni Morrison, passed away. And I thought, because we'd read a couple weeks ago, we read a poem out of the Dead MC Scrolls, I thought we could keep that same energy and read something from Toni Morrison. And somebody, let me, before I say somebody, it's all right here. Somebody named Beverly Smith on Facebook that is connected to me through, we have similar friends on Facebook, so I saw it when my friends shared, took the liberty of posting up Baby Shug's sermon by Toni Morrison it's like an excerpt from Beloved. And so I really thought this was really beautiful, and obviously everything she writes is very beautiful, but relevant relevant. And it's really amazing. I've been thinking, watching everybody grieve in the social media process, what they've shared, you know what I mean. It's just, how highly personal her works were for so many in the community. It just makes me sad that we didn't really realize it, or at least I didn't really realize it until she passed, and it's always sad. It's always a profound loss, even when it is an elder, somebody who has lived a decent amount of years, you know what I mean, and lived a very wonderful life. But yeah, she's very inspiring person. There were a lot of facts that I learned about her in the last few weeks. For example, I learned right before she passed, I learned that, I think I mentioned this in this one, that she would get up at 4 a.m. to write because she had small children, and that was like her dedication to her own craft, to herself. That's so profound to me also because, we know that the hours of 4 to 6 a.m. are spiritually inclined hours, spiritually open hours. I'm sure, spirit was just really flowing through her when it came to her craft at that time. But I also learned that she did not publish her first book until she was 40. And so I think that gives us a lot of inspiration, not just authors, but for anybody in the sacred woman journey who keeps feeling like, oh, I'm so behind, everybody else already started, or I don't know, like, what I'm trying to do here. Oh, my sleeping cap. I'm like looking, what is that? It's my bonnet, y'all. It's my bonnet. I'm like, what in the what black thing? Okay, anyways. But yeah, I did want to take time to share with you all this post. I got off my track all of a sudden, getting distracted by my own bonnet. But I'm going to try and stay on track here, take my chop, and read to you this beautiful excerpt. And I think, we might continue this trend, I think that there are a lot of authors and a lot of beautiful excerpts that include conjure, like, and root work, like, events, you know what I mean? It was pretty common in black novels to include roots to some extent. And you'll find it rife within folklore. I mean, like, I feel like it was only in like maybe a little later. I mean, it never really died. It's like it's always kind of been underground. So, people feeling like it's all just like so sudden. I mean, you'll find in the slave narratives, I think that's what they call them. I forget. But anyways, when the U.S. government finally decided to go around asking people. Actually, I don't even know if it was the government at first or if they just took over the project later. Anyways, they realized the last of the slaves were passing, so they went around with this recorded people's voices and their stories, and also manually wrote this stuff down. So that's all, in the U.S. archives, whatever. You can go, I don't even know if I say that word right either. Anyways, you can go read all of that. It's online, all of it online. I mean, I don't know if all of it, but a very good portion, more than you'll probably read in your lifetime, is up on the internet. And when you just click through those, I promise you every fourth page is going to have something that's going to have you eyeing it. Once you know a little bit about root work, it's going to have you eyeing it like, oh, that's conjure, that's that as well. And like, it's very casual in conversation. They'll just be like, oh yeah, and I buried that there at the front of the gate because blah blah, because I wanted to keep him out. They'll just say it like that, and it will be one sentence at the bottom of a page somewhere. But it's very that just shows how ingrained it was in the culture. It's very much a lifestyle. And I think Zora Neale Hurston and Toni Morrison were really able to continue that tradition of seamlessly blending conjure with their, the lifestyles of their characters in their books, to really showcase that, but they also showcase so much more, obviously. I think one of the things Toni Morrison really was so inspiring for us all was her, unwillingness to be apologetic about censoring blackness. That was her goal, was to censor blackness, was to uplift blackness, and to not explain herself, to not waste time explaining herself, to call out the racism when she saw it, and to do so in a very poignant and eloquent and matter-of-fact way. Like, she wasn't going to argue with you. Like, no, that's not how we're going to do things here. And it's been really nice to see all of that content be resurfaced so that we can see it all in one major scope across our timelines, people talking about different things, and each one was so inspiring, such gold, you know what I mean, all of it. But this post felt so relevant. So again, this is Baby Shug's sermon by Toni Morrison in the book Beloved. When warm weather came, Baby Shug's holy, followed by every black man, woman, and child who could make it through, took her great heart to the clearing. A wide, open place, cut deep in the woods, nobody knew for what at the end of the path, known only to deer and whoever cleared the land in the first place. In the heat of every Saturday afternoon, she sat in the clearing while the people waited among the trees. After situating herself on a huge, flat-sided rock, Baby Shugs bowed her head and prayed silently. The company watched her from the trees. They knew she was ready when she put her stick down. Then she shouted, "Let the children come," and they ran from the trees towards her. "Let your mothers hear you laugh," she told them, and the woods rang. The adults looked on and could not help smiling. "Then let the grown men come," she shouted. They stepped out, one by one, from among the ringing trees. "Let your wives and your children see you dance," she told them, and ground life shuddered under their feet. Finally, she called the women to her. "Cry," she told them, "for the living and the dead. Just cry." And without covering their eyes, the women let loose. It started that way: laughing children, dancing men, crying women, and then it got mixed up. Women stopped crying and danced. Men sat down and cried. Children danced, women laughed, children cried until, exhausted and riven, all and each lay about the clearing, damp and gasping for breath. In the silence that followed, Baby Shugs, holy, offered up to them her great big heart. She did not tell them to clean up their lives or go and sin no more. She did not tell them that they were the blessed of the earth, its inheriting meek, or its glory-bound pure. She told them that the only grace they could have was the grace they could imagine, that if they could not see it, they would not have it. "Here," she said, "in this here place, we flesh that weeps, laughs, flesh that dances on bare feet in grass. Love it hard. Yonder they do not love your flesh. They despise it. They do not love your eyes. They just as soon pick them out. No more do they love the skin on your back. Yonder they flay it, and O my people, they do not love your hands. Those they only use, tie, bind, chop off, and leave empty. Love your hands, love them. Raise they up and kiss them. Touch others with them. Pat them together, stroke them on your face, 'cause they don't love that either. You gotta love it you. And no, they ain't in love with your mouth. Yonder out there, they will see it broken and break it again. What you say out of it, they will not heed. What you scream from it, they do not hear. What you put into it to nourish your body, they will snatch away and give you leavings instead. No, they do not love your mouth. You gotta love it. This is flesh I'm talking about here. Flesh that needs to be loved. Feet that need to rest and to dance. Backs that need support. Shoulders that need arms. Strong arms, I'm telling you. And oh, my people out yonder, hear me. They do not love your neck, unnoosed and straight. So love your neck. Put a hand on it. Grace it. Stroke it. And hold it up. And all your inside parts that they just as soon slop for hogs, you got to love them. The dark liver, love it, and the beat and beating heart, love that too. More than eyes or feet, more than lungs that have yet to draw free air, more than your life-holding womb and your life-giving private parts, hear me now, love your heart, for this is the prize. So I've had this crazy bout of sinusitis, I guess, and like totally been clogged up, can't even like breathe, talk, taste barely. So, but I'm back now. So, the show must go on. My airways are starting to clear up again. And so I'm trying to get through this video so we can get back on track. I feel like every time I get back on track, I get sick again. So anyway, we'll see. So, anyways, it's the heat though. The weather switched up on me. Anyways, I think it's my allergies. At any rate, oh, be careful, please.
Okay,
We're on page 302. We are on page 302. We left off was. We had just talked about mothering, the position of mothering, how it feels good to mother others, how it feels good to be mothered, knowing when to mother others, knowing when to ask to be mothered. Oh, wow. Little dry pig. Okay. So yeah, we're on page 302, and we're now going to continue into the subject of mothering with mother to daughter. So mothers, take time to teach your daughters whose wombs have not yet been touched by the world. Show them by your example what is and is not to be. Follow your intuition and your knowledge. Guide them about how to respect their sacred wombs. Anoint and bless your daughter's womb, heart, and mind every new moon or at the onset of her menses. Teach her how to care for her sacred holy womb through the teachings of natural law. Whisper in her ear at night like the old folks did. Tell her your womb is sacred, for you are sacred. So that affirmation for your womb-bearing children, I think, is very wonderful. It's very beautiful, especially to start early. Tell your daughter that she's beautiful. Tell her she's like a crystal, a pearl, or any other precious gem. Tell her that she is as lovely as roses and orchids. Your beloved daughter is to be appreciated as one of the flowers of Mother Earth. Let your daughter know that she is worthy of all of the Creator's love and blessings. Hug her often, kiss her crown, rock her when possible, so she will know you as her foundation, her solid ground. Talk to her and tell her what's in your heart. Listen to her closely. Let nothing be so big or small that she cannot talk to you. Keep her heart sweet by exposing her to the beauty of the world. Keep her mindful of the world and its adversity in order to help her develop her highest compassionate and intellectual level. Let her know her womb is an extension of her mind. Adorn her mind with lots of love so her life will be sublime. So this part that I think really stood out to me in this chapter, also excuse my, I'm falling apart, y'all. I'm falling apart at the seams. Okay. So the part I really liked from this section is that she talks about, the very act of just, whispering in your child's ear. And I really love that. There's this post that I saw on Facebook talking about little hoodoo things you can do, little root working things you can do for your child during the school year. And everyone's sharing, and that reminds me of that, just whispering a prayer over your child is simple, but it's effective. Just whispering those blessings, whispering those reminders, whispering those affirmations, and telling her those beautiful things, so that the first person who tells her those beautiful things isn't some stranger just trying to use her for some reason. So letting her know her womb is an extension of her mind, that the womb, it's not just all about the womb, because I think a lot of people misinterpret the message, and so they're like, oh, it's not just, people who are so womb-centered, blah, 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 but the womb and the mind, that whole, and the spirit, that was all supposed to be a very connected thing. None of them is really separate or special in and of itself on its own. So our next section is a village of sister mothers. She says, at a workshop where we'd been talking about mother-daughter relationships, Sharon came up to me and told me that at the age of 12, her daughter Laquana had come to the conclusion that Sharon had certain gaps in her mothering abilities.
A bumpy face.
So, actually, I forgot I hadn't wanted to read this whole section, but essentially what occurs is this 12-year-old kind of gets goddaughters from her... Okay, I do not understand children. Where was I? Okay, so, she figured she could use each one for different advice of what was their expertise, right? So one for makeup, one for boys, one for healing and spiritual advice, one for school, academic type of things. So she approaches each sister mother individually and asks them to be a part of her circle. Each is flattered, pleased, willing, agrees, and they're honored because they understand that they have a special gift that they can offer to the community, to this other person. Okay. Each, let me see. So she says that's how her sister mother circle was born. She felt free to consult with any of her sister mothers. Before long, it dawned on both Sharon and Laquana that their relationship had improved as well. So through the act of having the help, through the act of having the community, of having other people to lean on, of not being burdened with being the expert in all areas, who was it? Sharon was able to be a better mother because she wasn't, not only is it like, oh, if she's not an expert in those areas, then she can't afford to hire an expert chef, an expert relationship guru, an expert hair, clothes, and makeup. You know what I'm saying? Like, being able to reach out to the community. That's why it's so important to have a community. That's why it's so important to have Sacred Woman, right? Because as Sacred Woman, we're trying to be well-rounded, but we do recognize that there's going to be just some things that is our area of expertise. That is our area of calling. and whatever that area is, that's wonderful that that's our area of expertise, because there are other sacred sisters, right, who are making the clothes, who because they're into sacred beauty, who are making the music because they're into sacred words, or sacred work, or I'm not even sure where I'm going, how I'm going with that all, but you know what I mean. It's like we don't have to be the person playing the music and making the poetry and writing the books and being on TV and healing people and doing every which little thing, because that's what the collective is for. There's some people are expert at this, some people are expert at that, and then we can all rely on each other and build off of our strengths. And so that's what the village of sister mothers is for. And so looking to not only have that for your kids, but to be that for others, and express what you're looking for in that reciprocal way, is a part of the growth of the Sacred Woman Global Village, and also the African traditional religious global village, as that grows as well, which things like the Sacred Woman Global Village directly led to. Okay.
How about cooking?
Let's see.
I don't know what.
So their sister mother circle still exists even when she became in her late 20s. So there's no reason why we can't create a sister mother circle for ourselves, like just the same as this young child did, and then was able to continue it until her young life, when she still needed, when she became a mother. So we all still need the good mothering we can get. So think about what you might choose for your own godmother circle. Invite those people in. Also think about suggesting this wisdom to your daughter the next time she criticizes you for your inadequacies, that she might want to create a sister mother circle for herself. Who knows, you might end up being in someone's sister mother circle, and the circle of loving and caring and mothering continues to expand like the ripples from a stone thrown in a pond. Sometimes I think it's as easy as reaching out and asking and using your intuition, and then that leap of faith of trust is necessary as well. But I think a lot of times we do feel so alone, and all this is easier said than done, for sure. I definitely struggle with the leap of faith trust part. I do have people who reach out to me sometimes, but due to my own fears, how I was raised, how I've experienced things, sometimes I won't even get to the point where I can press like send and tell people things. You know what I mean? I struggle with that at times. So I think it is a form of something to practice, but I do think it's something that we should understand is a goal we should be working on, not just for the betterment of ourselves, but for the betterment of the community, for the continuation, generations to come, nation building, as we say, or as we used to say. So here we are, we're on to mother to son, the masculine, as she was saying. She says, my son, Supernova Slom Daoud, helped me to organize the contents of this book, and just as I was to release it, he said, Ma, you speak of all the forms of relationships in your book, but what about me, your son? We really have such a great relationship. Why not write on mothers to sons? After thinking about it for some time, here is what I have to say. Being the mother of sons as well as daughters is so fulfilling, and also at times quite overwhelming and demanding. But whatever else motherhood may be for me, it contains many divine lessons, and I embrace them willingly. For example, a son at times may try to be a father and tell his mother what to do. When this happens to me, I just stand on the kitchen table and shout, wait a minute, I'm the mother here and I run this ship. Dynamic, spontaneous mothering can bring so many marvelous happenings out of you. Stay in tune and witness how the Creator will work through you. My children's father and I separated many moons ago. As a mother, I was required not only to give the normal ratio of love and compassion that mothers give, but found myself having to pull out the father in me and be this firm, strong-armed person. Many times I felt I was simply not enough, but as the years went on and the tears fell, I stayed prayerful and continued to purify and was shown the way. The Creator guides me and teaches me how to raise my sons to become whole human beings in a disjointed world. To make my life a little easier and my sons more balanced, I make sure they have access to many wonderful men who will assist them in their growth process. These men include physical and spiritual uncles, and attentive and caring stepfathers, mentors, and friends. Here's what I want to say about this that I think is very interesting, that I think we should all note, is that she notes that this girl, Juana, has a mother who is there, very active. But, you know, her mother is not perfect in all things. So her mother has a village of fathers, or of mothers, to rally around her and fill in the gaps and help continue with her. Taka, sorry, he's making his hair hella dirty. I'm so tired of washing hair so often, trying to get the dirt out of their hair. Okay, this twigs, sorry, these little twigs, these little straw, you know, little straw strands. Okay, so, but then also with the fathers, you know, she notes that she went to get these mentors because, sorry, I had to pause to sneeze, but now I don't remember what I was saying. Okay, so anyways, they need a father. They needed the father figures to help fill in these gaps as well, right? And I think that that's important, whether you have the father in the life or not, to have other experts, other masculine figures. And she also notes later on in this part of this, that the boys go through a sort of rites of passage. She made sure her sons did, which I'm not sure if she made sure her daughter would, but I would say this is important for, regardless, whatever your child is, whatever they're, you see people?
A baby.
You hear a baby, I hear it too.
Hi.
Regardless, to find that rite of passage that has to do with your community, that has to do with your religion, that is outside of your family directly, like, so it's not like you're just hovering over them, so that they are actually experiencing something. They're bothering this poor mama who is just trying to like stroller her wailing baby home. They're like, hi, and she's like, hi, like, geez. Oh, my children, they are a blessing, you know. Okay, so but yes, so I didn't want to get too far into this because she does go into her son's journeys, which they did end up having some struggles, where she did have to, you know, send them to their fathers and go to different, I think, a school. You know, she had to really, you know, have this fire, but it did end up with, I think, you know, at least Supernova does still work with her in a large capacity to this day, with her Heal Thyself Center. And so I do think that, yeah, that, you know, if you want to read more, get the book. But, I did want to read towards the end, where she says, when your reflections in the form of your children turn their hands and hearts back to you, their mother, when they are led to support, heal, and uplift you, my, words fail to convey the gratitude that a mother has for the Creator's world of divinity expressing itself through her own children. Many times my mama would say that it would not be easy raising boys, and she was right. But Lord, it has been good for my soul. I can only offer endless thanks and praises for being the mother of these two precious sons of mine. How beautiful. So we're on almost the last few pages here. This portion, page 305, we're in page 307 today. Thank you, Mama, for loving me. She says, Mama is so rich in her ways. She loves life by living effortlessly. She's like a beautiful meditation. Mama has cultivated me with as much care as one would cultivate a beautiful rose garden. Thank you to my mother, Ida Robinson, who has been a wonderful example of the total personification of peace. Be still. No matter how intense life got to be, or how turbulent the roller coaster of living became, you were always like the dove sitting peacefully undisturbed by the confusion of the challenges of life's ups and downs. Thank you, Mama, for showing me what peace looks like. Thank you, Mama, for the graceful way you walked, the regal way you sat, the gentle way you laughed, and the soft way you spoke. What an exquisite image you gave me of the beauty there is in being a woman. Thank you, Mama, for supporting my entire life, my children, my work, my associations, my mates, my whole being. The work that I was destined to do could not have happened without you. Thank you, Mama, for keeping me on the stoop in the house and out of trouble as a young girl. It paid off later on, as you and the old folks knew it would. This beautiful part I thought was a beautiful testament to Queen's Mama, but also I think it's a beautiful testament to give us talk up when why they threw dirt. Why? Okay. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. Okay. So it's also a good starting point for us to think about with our own goals with motherhood. I don't think necessarily being soft or small or I don't know, what are some of these other words she used that described her mother specifically? The gentle way she laughed. You know what I mean? Those aren't necessarily specific to you or should be your specific goal, right? You don't necessarily have to be like, I have to have a gentle laugh because that's the only feminine way to be. I do think you can have a big booming laugh and still be showing your children the ways that it is, the wonderful ways that it is to be a woman, to be a sacred woman. But I do think that this little ode to her mom here at the beginning is so beautiful. Mama is so rich in her ways. She loves life by living effortlessly. She's like a beautiful meditation. She cultivated me with as much care as one would cultivate a beautiful rose garden. That, I think, should be our goal as mothers to our children throughout their whole lives, right? That passion, that same passion of that rose should remain when they're a tiny baby, when they're a toddler, when they're getting older, when they've got those, teens going on that everybody likes to bam in the mat. Continuing that feeling of, and as well as being able to convey your spirit in an inspiring way to your children, I think should be all of our goal. So I don't know. I love this beautiful part because it's inspiring to me as a mother. I don't think I'll probably ever be the most gentle. You heard me just now. I saw dirt flying up here. I'm like, what, Taka? Like, come on. I have no chill, but at the same time, I think there are goals to be had with that and inspiration to be had with that as well. Okay, so yes, airplane, page 306, she goes on to say, to my ancestor Big Mama Ford, thank you for birthing Mama Ida and for pressing into my young memory the beauty and necessity of strength in an African woman. Thank you, Big Mama, for raising my 9 aunts and 4 uncles with Grandfather Ford so very well and so very upright, but especially thank you for giving me my mama. She is so rich in her ways. My mama's beauty and beautiful way surpassed the beauty of the lotus, if that could be. The beauty of my mama, she's supreme. She is a beautiful meditation. So this part I really love because this is just a prayer. This is just that conversation with the ancestors, that ancestral veneration, venerating them for what they were able to accomplish with what they had, knowing that, because of what they were able to accomplish, you're able to accomplish so many other things, so many things that they may have never even dreamed of or had the opportunity to look into, and thanking them for giving you what they have given you, and being grateful for your bloodline, She continues to my precious daughter, Charisse, who is as pretty as can be. You have drawn me closer and closer to the Most High. I thank
What
you.
this?
Thank you, daughter, for teaching me who I am at the core of my being. Thank you, daughter, for walking with me so I may garden you properly. I'm sincerely grateful that the Most High Creator chose me to be your mother. With all our ups and downs and the hard times and oh so challenging times and the sweet quiet times together, it's been good. Our union has made me a mother of a daughter, and that's an extra special reflection to learn and grow from. For in you I see clearly my own trials, my victories, my madness, my fears, my beauty, and my hope of lotus-like reflection coming through from me to you. I promise to walk with you all the days of your life, even when I become an ancestor. Worry not, I will be there for you. My love for you is steady. It has no mood swings. It has no mood swings. Mothers, fathers, and extended family especially love, pamper, and nurture your daughters deeply, so that they will grow up accustomed to being treated well. Teach the women in your family to expect and receive the best treatment from the men in their lives through you. Good treatment should be the norm, not the exception. Encourage the family to love its women. In this way, their self-esteem will be heightened, and they will not attract men who abuse women, but instead find men to love, respect, and cherish women. To our daughters from mothers everywhere, there's a silver cord that runs from me to you. If you don't know what to do or where to go, just pull on the cord and I will send you what you need to help you. Seen or unseen, you can be sure, and I'll always be there for you. And if not me in person all the time, I'll send an extension of me, grandmother or auntie. May we all continue to be positive examples for our daughters and sisters everywhere. So I really love that. I love how Queen goes into talking about the needs of the masculine to be treating the feminine well, men to be treating women correctly, in order to not only show others that that's how that's supposed to happen, but to show women that that is how you're supposed to be treated, right? I was just talking earlier about not having the first person who tells your daughter all of these sweet, beautiful things be some random stranger trying to take advantage. Have it be you, the mother. Have it be you, the family. Have it be their own family, so they know that what it is to be treated right. And they expect this. This is the norm of how they're expected to be treated. And then also how there's this cord that connects us all, and how all you have to do is pull when you need it. That asking for help, that prayer, that call is always going to be answered as long as you make it. We have many mothers. A sister newly on the path of purification was talking to me about her troubles with her mother. She said, "My relationship with my mother has never been good, and it hurts me because I keep going back and trying. I keep trying to bring my mother healing information, and she won't accept it. I had a big fight with her this week, so I think that's what's triggered a binge of emotional eating." Or be careful. Be careful. Our first and most important relationship is with our mothers. And no matter how old we get, whether they're still on this planet or not, that relationship continues to affect us deeply. What changes over the years is how we come to view them. With deep inner work and purification, we can move from rage and non-communication to compassion and acceptance. But in the meantime, we don't have to do without the mothering each one of us needs, whatever our age. We all have different mothers in the world. In your meditations, tap into all the mothers in your life. We have a mother who brings us into the world. She's the gatekeeper who got us here. And so we have gratitude and thanks. We may not be able to get all we need from her, though. You know the principle that it takes a village to raise a child, and we're constantly being raised by others as we grow up. So that means we have a number of mothers. Give praise for them all. The Creator is your mother. She doesn't leave this void. We're constantly getting what we need. We just need to open up our eyes and see. There may be a woman at your job who keeps supporting you and assisting you and giving you advice. For example, my accountant has been my mother for the last 2 weeks. She's helping me acquire the building that we're in. She says, I don't know what it has that has me calling up and checking and investigating for you, doing all this work and making all these doors open. But I know. It's because I am her true child. And I know she has wisdom that I don't have, and I submit to that. A girlfriend may mother you sometimes. So don't feel like you're empty. Feel glad about your birth mother. As a matter of fact, you may be the mother for your mother sometimes, and give her what she can't give herself, even if it's simply a good thought. You know how we can be in the same room and send thoughts to each other that knock us out? You say, I wonder how come I'm feeling so bad. It's because you're in a room full of thoughts that have not been lifting up your spirit. So try sitting with your mother and thinking, I love you, Mom. I thank you for the strength that you've shown me. No, it's on not the physical plane, but the spiritual one that you're connecting. And know that she's giving you the best mothering she has in her. If you can show her that gratitude, your daughters and your daughters' daughters will give you the same energy back.
What are you doing?
Healing our mothers and ourselves. My mother hurts to this day, a client told me. 20 years later, she's in grief because when she came with her children, her mother said, you can't bring those children here. You better go back to your husband. But he abused her, so she had to go to a shelter. That's why I say if your mother ever opens up the door and lets you in, you can just kiss her feet in gratitude, because gratitude builds. If you just keep saying thank you, it creates light, and your mother will heal. This is her chance. You are her love energy. I think living with that energy of gratitude as well is also highly important. Because sometimes your mother also may not ever, be much more than that. And I think being grateful for what she is, like how she said in the beginning, we have many mothers. And being grateful for what she was. She was the portal to get here, or she was, the facilitator of this energy or that movement, or getting here, learning that, becoming this, meeting this person. Whatever the situation may be, whatever the length of the list of things you're grateful for are. But understanding that, sometimes the gratefulness may not go much further than just what you're feeling. You may not actually have this moment of meeting and redemption and forgiveness, and etc. That's also what I want to say with that. A final healing. We're at the last part here, page 307. A sister in one of my workshops said, I had to write my mother a letter and tell her that I refused to be Cinderella anymore, and she said fine. And a friend of hers called me and said, listen, I've seen your relationship with your mother. Go about your life. If she ever needs you, I'll call you. So for 2 years, I was free. And when I got that telephone that she needed me, I went to her. She was amazed that I would nurse her. I would nurse anyone. As a matter of fact, I told her that, and it broke up our relationship again, but that's what she did for me. She made me a person who would help anyone. Watching her die, I saw that she came to realize what she had created. She saw what she'd helped me become. She had a wonderful passing, but I can't say I don't have a sense of freedom with her gone. Now I see that our mothers come to terms with all this by watching how we're living our lives, how we transform, and how we make peace with ourselves. That's when your mother will come into your energy field. Right now, she may be refusing to even acknowledge you, like you don't exist, you're not my daughter, and you're constantly trying to live up to this image that she had in her mind of you. But you have to understand that you have to transform. You have to be at peace with yourself, and you must be patient. In time, your mother will come to learn who you are and what she has helped to bring about. I think that's, really the message here. She may not accept it, whatever, but in time she'll come to, really understand, what it is that she helped bring about. And, it's up to you what that thing that is brought about really is ultimately, though, she only helped it is up to you what effort you're going to put into yourself, and I really do love that she didn't give her mother the satisfaction of thinking it was all about her, of centering herself on this, because it wasn't her story to center herself on. It was this sister's story. It was her story to say, no, actually, any human who I would see like this, and it isn't within my capacity to nurse them back, I would nurse back. If this isn't something special that you need to center yourself on in that sense. And I do think that was her sense of power, was to show that was who she was. She was a healer, and she was somebody who did spread that healing where her mother used to spread her wounds and her inability to her opposite of healing, I guess, her sucking in instead of that giving, or mending, the breaking instead of the mending. So next time we've got a lot of sister to sister stuff to talk about. Sister to sister attacked by the bitch type of information to go in on. That's page 307 and on. It's practically to page 315, I want to say. It's a lot. So we got a lot to go over. But thank you so much for joining me for this one. And I do hope that you're really, taking the time to pray about your relationships, write letters to relationships, either letters you're going to send or letters you have no intention of sending, and maybe even really just be making lists of relationships that are the most important to you, that it's the most important to you to heal. Maybe relationships that you just kind of want to put on the back burner of healing, in the back of your mind, but you're not ready to confront just yet. But it's something that's important to you, that you will need to confront at some time. So really focusing on those relationships. What are yours? For me, focusing on my relationship with my husband, with my 2 children. Those are, my greatest relationship focuses right now. And then I also really want to be focusing on my relationships with my sister friends, doing better about communication, doing right by them, and not being such a soul suck. I feel like, I'm not very good at communicating back to people, which makes it for me seem like I'm not a participant as much as I'd like to be. So that's something I'm working on, and I'd like to do better on. And with that being said, we'll be talking more about relationships next week, but also what we should be doing about them with the 7-day challenge. Not sure if we're going to do that next week or the week after, but stay tuned for that coming straight up. And don't forget to be continuing your journals and your spiritual baths, as well as your outside time, your relationship with nature. That's one I'm definitely working on. And may your ancestors and spirit guides be with you at every crossroads. I'll see you guys next time. Please don't forget to subscribe. And of course, go to patreon.com/Sacred Sister Circle if you would like to donate $1 because you enjoy the Sister Circle and you're grateful. You have a wonderful day.